Welcome to By Nature's Side with me, Sharon. On this episode, it's all about swans. Swans are an iconic part of the UK's wildlife, often associated with grace and beauty, gliding serenely across the nation's rivers, lakes and wetlands. These majestic birds hold a special place in British culture, ecology and history. The UK is home to 3 main species of swans, each with its own unique traits and ecological importance. The Mute Swan, the Hooper Swan and the Black Swan. The Mute Swan is the most familiar swan in the UK and a true symbol of the countryside. It's known for its striking white feathers, its long arched neck and vivid orange beak with a black knob at its base. The Mute Swan is a year-round resident. Despite its name, it is not completely silent. These swans hiss, grunt and make soft snorting sounds, though they lack the loud calls of the other species. Mute swans can often be found in parks, rivers and lakes, where their elegant presence is admired by locals and visitors alike. They are herbivores, feeding primarily on aquatic plants, algae and grass, which they forage for by dipping their heads underwater. These swans are highly territorial, especially during the breeding season in spring and summer, when they fiercely protect their nests from intruders. The UK is also a vital wintering ground for 2 migratory swan species, the Hooper Swan and the Black Swan. Hooper swans, larger than the Mute swans, are easily recognised by their bright yellow and black beaks and their loud trumpeting calls. They migrate from Iceland to spend the winter in the UK, where they can be seen in wetlands, estuaries and open fields. Black swans, smaller and more delicate than the Hooper swans, migrate from Arctic Russia to winter in the UK. These swans are characterised by their black and yellow beaks, with patterns that are unique to each individual bird, very much like a fingerprint. Both species rely on the UK's wetlands for food and shelter during the harsh winter months, making conservation efforts critical for their survival. Black swans, Cygnus atratus, are native to Australia, but they have been introduced to various parts of the world, including the UK. While they are not native to the region, they can now be found in certain areas, especially in parks, lakes and rivers, where they've been introduced for ornamental purposes. In the UK, black swans were first introduced in the 18th century. Over time, they have become more established, but a much rarer sight than the other swans I've mentioned. Black swans are notable for their striking appearance, largely black feathers with a red beak, which makes them stand out compared to the more common Mute swans that are found in the UK. Despite not being native, black swans have been able to adapt to the British environment, and there have been reports of small populations that are bred in the wild. Though they are not as widespread as the Mute swan, black swans are often regarded as exotic and are a popular sight in some locations. They are also known to be more aggressive than Mute swans, particularly when protecting their nests or territories. Swans have been closely tied to British royalty and tradition for centuries. Historically, all unmarked Mute swans on open waters were considered property of the Crown. This custom dates back to medieval times, when swans were prized as a luxury food. Although the tradition no longer holds practical significance, it remains a ceremonial and symbolic connection to the monarchy. Every July, the swan-upping ceremony takes place on the River Thames. This ancient practice involves counting and marking swans, ensuring their health and monitoring the population. Swan-upping has evolved from a method of asserting royal ownership to an important conservation effort, emphasising the protection and welfare of the birds. During this event, representatives from the Crown and Worshipful Company of Vintners and the Worshipful Company of Dyers, 2 London livery companies that were historically granted swan ownership rights, travel in traditional rowing skiffs to count, examine and mark swans. Participants wear colourful uniforms representing their respective organisations, creating a striking visual spectacle. From rural wetlands to urban parks, swans in the UK thrive in areas with clean water and abundant aquatic vegetation. However, their habitats face threats from pollution, urbanisation and climate change, which can impact the availability of food and safe nesting sites. Swans, particularly the Mute Swan, are protected under modern UK wildlife laws, ensuring their welfare and survival. The Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981 protects all swans from harm, capture or killing. It is illegal to take eggs, damage nests or harm chicks. Disturbing swans or their nests is also prohibited under this law. The Conservation of Habitats and Species Regulation 2017 offers additional protections for habitats used by migratory swan species, the Hooper and the Buick swan. Conservation initiatives play a vital role in safeguarding the future of the UK swans. Organisations like the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust work to protect wetlands and provide safe habitats. Efforts include habitat restoration, public education and tracking migratory patterns to better understand the challenges that these birds face. Despite legal protection, swans face many threats such as pollution, habitat destruction and injuries from fishing gear. Swans can swallow fishing hooks or become entangled in the lines, causing serious injuries or even death. Litter and contaminated waterways harm swans and their food sources. Habitat loss caused by urbanisation and drainage of wetlands reduce the areas where swans can safely feed and nest. Efforts to protect swans include public awareness campaigns, maintaining clean waterways and habitat restoration projects. Beyond their ecological significance, swans are deeply ingrained in British culture and folklore. They are often associated with love, fidelity and transformation. Appearing in myths, literature and art, the phrase swan song originates from the ancient belief that swans sing a beautiful song before they die, a concept that has inspired poets and writers for centuries. But what is the future of swans in the UK? While mute swans remain a common sight, the conservation of migratory species like Hooper and Buick swans requires ongoing attention. By preserving wetlands and reducing pollution and promoting awareness, the UK can ensure that these majestic birds continue to grace its landscapes for generations to come. Swans are more than just a beautiful feature of the British countryside. They are a symbol of resilience, tradition and the delicate balance of nature. Their presence serves as a reminder of the importance of protecting wildlife and the habitats that sustain them. Do you have any stories about swans in your area? I'd love to hear them. Please put them in the comment section below, and also remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to tread softly as you walk by nature's side. See you soon.